Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Welcome
Year.
back to Always Almost There, day after show live. I apologize for the state of my voice right now. But like many of us, I am recovering from a very fun New Year's extravaganza. But we are not here to talk about that today, of course. We are here to talk about the final two Goose shows of 2024, Austin, Texas, the last couple of nights. But it's 2025. Neil, how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. There's a lot to look forward to. Peter has said at the end of the show last night that 2025 is going to be huge. Don't know what that means because they've announced like 0 shows, but or a handful of shows. But yeah, man, I'm excited for what's to come.
Absolutely. I agree. It's only 5 weeks until Goose plays again. So that's pretty good. The last couple of years we've had like 4 months or a couple of months in between shows. So it's nice that, we're getting a little stretch of tour in February. But of course, we are here today to talk about the last 2 shows, the New Year's run down in Austin, Texas that just happened. We will also, after that, we'll be talking Jam of the Year a little bit.
Oh, really?
Seating is officially open. So, we'll touch on that a little.
I've got things to say. I've got lots of thoughts.
Good. Well, yes, Andrew, it's bracket time. But we've got 2 guests joining us today. They were both in Austin, so looking forward to hearing their thoughts on the 2 shows. We've got Brandon, and we added him today because they played eye to eye last night, and we could not have him on the pod. We've got our good friend Garrett joining us. How are you guys doing today? Happy New Year.
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm good. Catching up on sleep, but I'm good.
Nice. You're good. Have you been able to catch up yet?
I think I got 3 hours in the last 48, so we're getting there.
There you go. Making up some ground. I'm about the same amount as you. But let's go back to the beginning. You guys are flying down, Garrett. I know you did one night of Fish and you flew down on the 29th. Let's start with you flying down to Austin. Kind of what are your thoughts on what's going to happen here with the formal affair theme? Yeah, give us your getting to Texas vibes.
So yeah, did Fish the night before. Not going to talk about that show.
No, we're not.
And then was just excited to go down to Goosemas. It's not Goosemas, to New Year's Eve. It was a little different because like Goosemas felt like everybody was like heading down, so it was like a little bit of a smaller crew. But the got in, immediately had to go buy shorts because it was like almost 90 degrees in Texas, which was really nice to have a warm New Year's Eve after many years of cold MSG G runs. And then met up with Kevin Johnson and his wife Elise, and we went out to grab dinner. Someone I work with recommended this place called Loro, which is like an Asian barbecue fusion restaurant, which was really awesome, but not normally like one of the restaurants people are talking about in Austin. So we went there and then just happened to look over to the left and saw some Goose people there, some Goose crew. And then a few minutes later, a car pulls up and there's Rick, Trevor, and Cotter. So it was just happened to have to refill my drink at that time.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. It was just perfect timing. Yeah, and got to meet Rick again and meet Trevor for the first time. And yes, really great talking to them. And it was a really good night 0. But Austin's an awesome city. Never been there.
Yeah.
Really cool city.
Did you happen to, because I know you've asked them repeatedly before, did you mention eye to eye on Sunday night?
I did not. I froze when I saw Rick. I was like, the first thing I said to him was like Goosemas. I like didn't even say hi. I just like forgot how to speak words. I was like, and then I was like, did you like Goosemas? Like, I don't even know what I said.
He's like blacked out.
Blacked out. But then we did talk about the flamingo emojis.
Nice.
and he
Oh,
did
yeah.
enjoy those.
Nice.
And then walked away the rest of the night thinking about the 500 other things I wanted to chat with him about, such as AI
Always.
Rick
Yeah.
or
Eye to eye.
the Dave Matthews sit-ins, and yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Awesome. Brandon, how about you? What were your thoughts going into this run?
So I live in Austin, so like naturally when this was announced, I was extremely excited. I've seen before these last two shows, I'd seen Goose 3 times, and I traveled for all three of them, and it was like, oh yeah, I finally get to like have a hometown show, and that was pretty sweet. So night one, my brother came with me, and like I'll talk about that when we like talk about the actual sets. But I was super excited going in, and I was like not 100% sure on, as some of you may have seen on Blue Sky, wasn't like 100% sure like was it a requirement to like wear fancier clothing? Like they didn't like ever mention anything more about it, so I was like, what? I didn't end up like dressing up for it, but there was a lot of people that did dress up both nights.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and I was like, man, I don't know what I would have done, because like you want to be on theme, but I feel like raging a show in a suit would be like so uncomfortable.
That
I
was
guess
my
you, yeah, I guess you'd probably go with like the the tuxedo T-shirt. I think there were a lot of people who did that, but I I was just thinking like, definitely you like spill a drink, or it's just like you're gonna get all sweaty and you're gonna want to
yeah.
take off your jacket, and then it's like but I love seeing the pictures of the people that did dress up. Neil, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Yeah.
there
I was
we
just saying, it did happen. The band was shedding layers as they went on. Rick ended up in a sleeveless shirt, which I don't know where he got that.
Formal sleeveless. I was watching the webcast earlier today, and I was like, I wonder, he's wearing the blazer during the first set. Is it sleeveless underneath?
Well, that's my question. Maybe that was the plan all along, because he wants to show off the guns, right?
Yes.
So, but like, it's not like they took a shirt and like, because I was looking closely at this on the webcast and like cut the sleeves off. It is tailored in a sleeveless fashion, which I don't know how you actually buy such a shirt, but hey,
When you're Rick,
amazing.
you can do it. Maybe it was like maybe it was like the Raleigh jean shorts, and Sam King did the cut for him before the show.
Well, that's the thing, is it didn't look cut. It didn't look cut.
Right.
It looked like they had bought it that way. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Custom.
Do they
Rick's about
sell-
to have a line of custom sleeveless shirts to wear on stage in 2025. It's all happening. But anyway, let's get into the first show here. I'll start with you, Brandon. Where were you sitting on the 30th, and how are you feeling getting into the venue?
So we got in at like right around like the ticket time, and my brother's friend got there like before us, and we were on the floor, and he was like pretty close to like the front on the like Cotter and Jeff side. So like we just like snuck right in right up there and had like a super great view, and we got in there probably like right at 7:30. So at that point, like the anticipation is just like killing you, like the longest 15 minutes that you've ever had. But yeah, we were both super stoked for the show. It was really cool coming in to like see the way that it was like decorated, and then like looking around and realizing like, oh, there's like screens on the side. Like they're gonna like probably do a little bit of stuff on that. So that added a little bit to my excitement too, just being like, whoa, this is looking pretty legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think your point about like the screens, the whole upper deck of the arena, like with curtains and projections and stuff on them. And I think, just what I've seen on the stream, I wish they had shown that more. You didn't really see, like for the New Year's countdown, you saw Rick looking at it, and it's like zooming up on Rick as he's clearly looking at the countdown. But yeah, I wish we got to see a little more of that, but it was amazing. Garrett, how about you? Pre-show vibe, where were you sitting?
Yeah, pre-show. So I had a seat in 115, but basically once it was in the back left corner, so a little bit off center. and I no one. I mean, I don't think most people did sat in their actual assigned seats because there, if you looked on Ticketmaster before the show, it was just rows and rows and rows and rows. So met up with the Ted crew and Matt and some other people, and we just found space. It reminded me a lot of like Westville 2021 COVID shows where there was just like rows
Pods.
and rows. Yeah, and honestly, I absolutely loved it. It was like packed. It wasn't packed. It looked crowded, like once it filled in a bit, but everyone had like I think there were three of us in our row, and we each had like 4 seats to ourselves. It was kind of wonderful for dancing space, just sitting space, everything, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
You
Neil,
get
you got any? Yep.
that COVID VIP experience, man. You just
Yeah.
get tons and tons of room. Man, I was gratefully on the couch for this. It was actually quite nice. Just kind of set up shop and chilled out. No line for the bathroom.
You didn't chill
After-
out. Well, you were in charge of the set list.
I was in charge of the set list. I did a fine job night one.
You did chill out about it, I guess. That's true.
Night two, I don't know how good of a job.
Yeah,
But night two was. I mean, we'll get there. But holy
I
crap,
have
man!
made like, I think I've edited it like 7 or 8 times today.
It was not easy. It's
No.
possibly the hardest set list ever to do. But in any case, we'll get there. We'll
Halloween was harder.
discuss.
Anyway,
Let's talk about the music. man.
I digress. Let's dive into the show here. We start off the 30th, Big Modern into Animal, Dr. Darkness. Let's start with you, Garrett. What do you think of this start?
Yeah, so there were these rumors swirling around the interwebs for the week before that they were gonna potentially do a formal affair. It was like a formal like coming out of the new album announcement. So they started with Big Modern, and everyone's like, all right, this makes sense. Like this could be the start of a new album. It was really awesome. Crowd singing along that chorus. It's a big chorus. I haven't re-listened to the show, but I remember the jam being pretty good. But then you like heard it slowing down and getting into the Animal, and Animal's a song that like it's great, but it's becoming like a hot tea for me, where it's like I'm like, all right, here's Animal, and then once like you get into it, it's like really fun and enjoyable. But I thought the Animal jam was pretty good and pretty fun. The band seemed pretty dialed in terms of like the jamming. And then are we just doing those first two for now?
And Dr. Darkness.
And Dr. Darkness, yeah. Just going back to Big Modern for a second, it wasn't finished, so assumed it was either going to be finished that night or the next night, like they started doing later in the tour. And then the Dr. Darkness kind of fit the theme, the like the masks, the like it was an interesting vibe. The band coming out with like capes and masks, and they were handing out like Eyes Wide Shut lyrics, or not lyrics, quotes, and roses and stuff. So yeah, the Dr. Darkness kind of fit the theme, but Dr. Darkness it's standard. It's the same every time. So
yeah,
nothing crazy there.
Yeah, there we go. Brandon, your thoughts on the opening 3 songs here?
Yeah, so I was actually kind of expecting that Big Modern was going to come by like one of these 2 shows. Like, even though it was played at Goose, I was like, I just feel like there's no way they're going to come to Austin and not play it. Was not expecting it to be the opening song of the entire run. And so I like flipped out and that was my first time seeing that song. And people were singing, and it was a really, really cool vibe. And the jam is really good. Like the thing that kind of like I was thinking of in my mind is like, it felt like really like cathartic. Like Rick's playing specifically was like, just like incredible. And like, it just felt so like freeing, and his tone was like, it's the best I've ever heard. And I think that's like partially due to the venue. I think that like in my opinion, that was the best I've heard them sound. And that was like immediately apparent like in Big Modern. So yeah, really, really like that jam. And then like the last couple minutes are like pretty cool before it like segues into Animal. And I know that people like kind of dislike Animal a little bit. That was my first time seeing it live, and I thought that like absolutely fucked. Like
So-
it was awesome.
It does.
It does.
It's a lot
The
of
first
fun.
time you see it live, you're like, hell yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. And then,
Yeah.
then if you
And
see a
then-
lot of shows like we do and you see it 20
Right.
times, it
Yeah.
loses
And
its luster.
The jam in that was like, you know, it just kind of did the typical Animal thing. Felt kind of Delta-y though.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't know
Key
if
of
it
F.
was exact, but it felt like that. And then Dr. Darkness, you know, like pretty standard. I've seen that like several times now, and it's a good song. It was kind of a weird placement for it, but actually I really like the way they structured this first set, which like I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt about those first three.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, big modern opener. Everything's bigger in Texas. You know, they weren't like, as you said, like they weren't not going to play it in Texas. It's like they weren't not going to play it in Florida, or they weren't not going to play it in Alabama. If you're down there, you're playing big modern.
Yep.
But yeah, this was great. I was interested to hear that they went into the jam the way that they did it in the encore big modern in DC, instead of the usual like vintage vibe break to go into the jam. So you go back and hear that they kind of, after the last chorus, they just kind of go right into it with Peter on organ. So that was interesting. But yeah, super like relaxed grooving for a while, really enjoyable. And I mean, yeah, you know, same as you, Garrett. I was like, oh, Animal, you know, early on, like, okay. But the segue is awesome. You know, so very, very well done there. Peppy Animal. And then, then Dr. Darkness. But, you know, this big modern's a very solid way to open the show. And yeah, I was immediately thinking when I saw that, you know, I was checking the set list at set break at Fish and after the show, but I was like, oh, like big modern will come back for the countdown. You know, like that makes sense. But yeah, Neil, your thoughts?
You know, I thought the big modern was going to come night 2 because I thought it was going to be the centerpiece of night 2. Didn't work out that way, but you know, opening with big modern is awesome. And I really love the jamming approach that they took in this song. It was very relaxed and loose. There was like a lot of Rick just doing the Rick noodling thing, and then Cotter was right under each of his notes with the cymbals, and it just sounded so good. Like, had an excellent flow to it, and then just kind of opens up, and then you have Rick noodling, you have Trevor noodling. Nobody's really doing anything together. They're just getting like ideas and throwing them out into this space.
Yeah.
And the result is it sounds super psychedelic, right? And I think it's the most psychedelic sounding jam of the 2 nights, actually. I think the jamming in this first set, night 1, is the most on point jamming, I think, that you get continuously out of the whole run. So this is the good stuff. And yeah, it's like 20 something minutes of really good.
It's like 18,
I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Big modern. So it's good.
Yeah. To me, it's, we are hearing that change in the improv that we talked about around Goosemas and how they came out for Goosemas. And it was like every time they're jamming now, whether it's a memorable jam or not, there's more maturity to it. You know, we'll talk about another one that I was just saying to you earlier about that. But yeah, it's there. So it seems as though this shift is here to stay. And so that's big.
So nobody was rushing, right?
Yeah.
And then continuing the theme of not rushing, they go into segue mode to play Animal. Peter kind of fires up the clav. Rick kind of fires up his kind of like really brassy sounding whatever pedal he's got. And they find another jam before they even start that. Like the Animal segue jam is great, and I wish they had played that for a few more minutes because that was really, really tight jam too. So this is one of those things where like every idea they grabbed just sounds great, and you got to love that. So I love the approach. Like they let things develop. They kept it loose early, and then ideas just started kind of coming in. And that segue that's in the segue bracket, man. You know, this is a top segue of the year.
Yeah,
absolutely killer. I mean, they're crushing segues these days. Yeah. Absolutely crushing them in 2024.
It's amazing. All right, let's move on here. Draconian Meter Maid, Silver Rising. Your thoughts, Brandon?
This Meter Maid jam is awesome. The beginning of it is, I mean, I remember like looking over at my brother and just going like, this is gorgeous. Like what Peter was doing on the keys was really, really beautiful. And I I liked a lot of like the Meter Maid jams this year, and like it feels like they're pretty comfortable with it, and they it never ends up being like, oh, I know what direction this is gonna go. So like it starts beautiful, but then it gets like really dancey, and Trevor starts like playing this melody that like it sounds very familiar, but I couldn't like put my finger on it. But it was just like we're dancing, like we're having a good time, and it felt like seamless. Like they were just like crushing it up there, and it looked effortless. So that was really cool. And then Silver Rising, I was really excited to get that. That's probably one of my favorite like songs that they do. And like obviously when you get that, you're not really expecting to get a jam, but like that guitar solo is always really really sweet. So I had no complaints about that like 1-2 punch at all. I was very much stoked on those.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is a good point from Came to Play in the chat. I was just going to talk about this. You can't just look at jam times with Goose anymore. There are a lot of 15 to 17-minute versions of shit that are really fucking good. Yeah, this Draconian Meter Maid is 14 minutes. I listened to it for the first time at like 6 o'clock this morning when I was at JFK, waiting to fly home. And, I was on like 2 hours of sleep, and I like put it on, and they get into that quiet space. And I was just like, whoa. Like,
yep.
This is crazy. I really want to put it on my playlist. I haven't decided yet if it's going to make it onto my playlist. I don't think it does, but this is the first indication of like, yeah, the Silver Rising is very well placed, but you put another few minutes on this Meter Maid, that's going up there.
But before we hand this to Garrett, I just want to say something really quick about these shorter jams that are great. I mean, Goose is getting there in a hurry these days. And they're doing what used to take them 23, 24, 27 minutes now in 15, 16, 17 minutes. So when we're doing these Jam of the Year brackets, you don't really find many songs that are under 20 minutes. And now all of a sudden there are a bunch because of what has happened on this fall tour. And it's not completely unheard of, right? Phish has been doing it for decades. They get there in a hurry, and Goose has found a way to get there pretty quick. And this Meter Maid is a really good example of that.
And as an example, I mean, it took Phish a long time to be able to get there in a hurry too, right? Like,
yep.
So it's cool to see that Goose is at the point with their improv now when they're packing so much into, 15 minutes. Garrett, your thoughts on Meter Maid Silver Rising?
Yeah, I haven't re-listened to the show. So again, I'm not able to talk in like the actual like the types of instrumentation or anything there, but I remember the Draconian Meter Maid being the highlight of set one, up to that point, like very clearly. The song itself, I also really like the song. It's got hints of prog rock and Rush and Humphreys and everything. It's a really cool song. And then the jam was just great. The Silver Rising, it was a good cool down after that. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a little bit. The set switches. But Silver Rising was not supposed to be in that place, but it fit in that place. It was supposed to be in set 2 in a pancake sandwich. But yeah,
I'm glad they didn't do that. That's one of the things. Like that would have been like a 7-minute pancakes, and then Silver Rising, and then another 7 minutes of Type 1 Pancakes jam, probably.
Yep.
Instead, we got those 2 7-minute halves of pancakes together on the second night.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, Meter Maid's also grown on me a lot. I liked it initially, and then I didn't like it for a bit, and now I really like it.
Ever since Joel called it an Humphreys song, I think that's when I was like, okay, like we can call this an Humphreys song now. If Joel thinks so, then we're talking about Joel from Humphreys when he was a guest on the pod. But so really quick, couple thoughts on the jam itself, which I haven't really offered yet.
Our jam.
Love the beginning. I mean, this is actually typical of all of the Draconian Meter Maids, where you have this kind of beautiful, kind of light, airy section, and then it kind of gets into something else. But this one gets to a space where it's just pure wall of sound. Actually, the opposite of the big modern jam, where everybody's kind of doing disparate parts that all kind of, sound separate from each other. This one is just one wall of sound. Right at the 11.5-minute mark, the whole band is doing everything together, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And I love that sound when they can achieve the sound of sounding like one instrument all at once. And that's the vibe I get when I listen to this. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yes.
To my ear, doing a lot of fish talk today. To my ear, though, it sounds actually this is TV on the radio. It sounds like Golden Age. The jam that Peter kind of fires up on the clav there, really reminiscent of Golden Age to me. Not like they're playing Golden Age, but like a jam that was born from a Golden Age, chord progression.
Right.
So I thought that was.
I mean,
cool.
we can talk about fish. I have a lot to talk about.
No, we're not going to do that.
First set closes out here with Jive 2 and then Arrow. This Arrow's awesome. It is not going to make my playlist because it gets ripcorded before it can really, be fully realized. But I was listening to this today and I was like, oh my God. I saw a 19-minute Arrow to close the first set. And I was initially like, based on what I had heard about the rest of the run, I was like, probably not going to be, the craziest thing ever. And I'm listening to the jam and it's going and it's getting darker. And then Rick starts doing, the effects and shit that he was doing. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it ended. But yeah, Garrett, what did you think of the end of the first set here, Jive 2 and Arrow?
Really, really great Jive 2. Really great Jive 2. Yeah, you're wrong, but Jive 1. But no, it was a very, very good Jive 2. And then the Arrow, I was very surprised actually when they started it up, because looking at the clock and knowing that their curfew that night was a bit earlier, we were already pretty deep into that set. Which makes sense why so many changes came in the set. Things were jamming a little bit longer than they probably expected. But it was a very, very good Arrow. I wish it was another 5-10 minutes long. Came to play, said it in the set, but like a 19-minute arrow is really like a 4-minute jam. But yeah, it was still really good. And yeah, I thought it was a solid night one, set one.
There you go. Garrett's Jive 1 take is awful, but I appreciate his steadfast commitment to being wrong. Thanks for the play. Brandon, what did you think of the end of the first set here? Jive 2 Arrow.
Yeah, Jive 2 is awesome. I mean, just super fun. Like, not anything crazy jam wise, but like I'll take 10 minutes of that in the first set, like in any show. Was really, really, really stoked about that. And then I also at that point I was like, this is gonna close the set. Or I was like, they're going to do Jive Lee to follow it up and play it for 5 to 7 minutes or something like that. So when they started playing Arrow, I was like, what is going on? And I know, again, people kind of dog on Arrow. It was my first one live and I was very excited about it. And it fucks live. That is so much fun. The energy.
Now, for the record, we don't dog on Arrow anymore because Arrow's good now.
Good. It's had a really great year.
Yeah.
So good. So I was just stoked out of my mind to be hearing it. And the jam was getting really, really good. And I think initially it didn't feel live as much of a ripcord as it felt like when I did a re-listen today. And but yeah, I definitely was very clear that ended way too fast. And there's a moment where Rick just starts he just changes what he's playing and it sounds really dark, and at that moment I was just oh, I know where this is going. And that was really cool to hear that and have him kind of, I think he was the one that kind of queued it up, but still really awesome. It's cool to get a couple minutes of some super cool jamming, and Arrow is really fun. So yeah, good end of the set, I thought.
Yeah. Neil, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they must have been sweating time because that's a short Arrow by Arrow standards these days. And they were really in a great spot with it. But yeah, that was 3 minutes of excellent jamming. And it could have been so much more. I mean, the vibe that I was getting when I was listening to it was the Missoula Thatch. Not this most recent one.
They did not play it.
They did not play it at the most recent one, but the one before. That's the one I'm talking about. The Missoula Thatch, that one. Similar vibes, though. You get the kind of relentless darkness where it's kind of swirling, and yeah, it's got all the good stuff, man. This jam, very, very, very good. And when you think about great sets, you think about bookending the sets with jams, and that's what you get in this one. You get a great big modern to start. You get a great arrow to end. A great arrow that could have been better. And we'll try to find a way to forgive Rick, but it's taking a while for me because that jam was going to be the best jam they played in the 2-night run. Still might be the best jam they played in the 2-night run.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it could have been like an all-timer.
Yeah, I think I could have an easier time forgiving him if this was the only such instance over these 2 nights.
Yes.
But
However, it gets worse.
We love you, Rick.
Oh man.
Well, really quick, just in the interest of not being here for another 3 hours, let's do really quick set break thoughts for night one. Let's start with you, Brandon.
I didn't really do a whole lot. Went to the bathroom. Of course, the line for the men's room was very long, and not very long for the women's room, which is pretty much to be expected at any Goose show. So, but I just want to report I did see that. So nothing else really to add. I was ready for round 2 immediately after the first set ended. So yeah,
awesome. Garrett.
Yeah, wound up meeting up with Chop and then moving sections. So moved like 2 or 3 sections from the stage. There was like 4 seats open in the front row. So just parked there for a bit to get a little bit closer to the band. It was a little tough to see the band from the back. The lighting was a little dark for some reason night one. So you you could see the light show, but the band was just a little dark. So it was nice to move a little closer and get a different vantage point there. But it was the arena is a really nice arena. It was cool to walk around a little bit. They have pretty good food options, and unfortunately some of them were closed, like Stubbs Barbecue and some of the other ones. But yeah. Move seats and got ready for set 2.
There we go. And I'm very happy with how this set starts. And with this is on the same vein as the big modern opener. We talked about when we did our bingo tour retrospective a few weeks ago, before Goosemas, what do we want the effects of bingo to be? And I said my biggest thing is I want them to be like, oh, we can play these songs in slots that we don't normally play them in. And, being forced to do that at Goosemas, we'll do that. And a specific example I said is second set, Hot Love into a jam vehicle. Now at Goosemas, we did not get Hot Love into a jam vehicle to open a second set, but we got it to open a second set. So the fact that they, wrote this Hot Love Arcadia here, this is a fantastic Arcadia. It's on the up and up a little recently. Not a bracket Arcadia here, but maybe Arcadia will be returning to the Jam of the Year bracket in 2025. We can hope.
One version, just one. That's all we're asking for.
Please, one.
Just one.
They've
tried though. We're get 2 versions, not 2 in a row because they played it at MSG, but 2 of the last 3 versions did jam out a little bit. So
yes, it's true. It's true. But yeah. Big fan of this 1-2 punch to open the set. Brandon, what did you think of Hot Love Arcadia?
Yeah, so just real quick on closing thought on set 1, I had a similar takeaway of I liked how they kind of had fallen into you get your standard 3-4 openers and there's not really any jamming, but in this show you get a surprising opener and they start jamming immediately and you still get songy bits, but the jamming, I just I like that approach because it felt different than what we had typically been seeing. Hot Love, I was no way they're gonna do this. I felt more confident Big Modern was coming than that. And when they did the first note, I was very, very much excited about it. So that was really fun. Not much else to add except it's super great, catchy song. And I would be fine if they played that at every show I was at, which maybe
they pretty much have been.
Yeah, that's right. It's getting played quite frequently. And then the Arcadia Jam, I think it's actually a little bit better than you're giving it credit for. It I like how it's kind of got slow bits of some funk, but then it Peter starts doing more gorgeous keys work, and then the typical like ending of it. It felt like it was maybe a little bit different than some of the previous versions, but that peak every time is incredible. It's like there's maybe like 2 or 3 songs that I'm like, they have to finish this when they play it, and Arcadia is absolutely one of those. Like the roof just goes off the entire place when they do that peak, and like it gets me every time. So yeah, I like that the jam a lot. I thought it was just like, this is a good jam. Like it felt patient, and a good example of, I mean, maybe not the best jam in the world, but like we're getting good jamming throughout like the entire show, and like that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that stands out to me the most about Arcadia here is Cotter and how flowy his drumming is. It's very smooth, and all the transitions are just very nice. Garrett, Hot Love Arcadia.
Yeah, Hot Love was pretty unexpected. And if you look at the original set list, that is, Hot Love wasn't even on the set at all. So they must have, they must have gone backstage and been like, all right, there is no way to realistically play the second set that we have written. So,
Would you mind reading what they had if you have it in front of you right now?
Yeah, I was just pulling it up. The original set was Pancake, Silverizing, Cakes to open. Do you want the whole set or just
do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? What were they playing?
Then they were gonna do Redbird into Lowrider. Then they were gonna do Mist into Engborg into Cinnamon, with a Turn Clouds encore.
Wow. So I like that, that like disco set from like the Cincy is a thing again. Yeah, that's ambitious. Hot Love Arcadia. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the Hot Love is great. It's one of those songs where it's like I really was dying to hear it the first time I heard it, and then the second time it was still good, and now it's like, all right, it's getting played a lot, but hopefully, it seems like in the first year, songs that they love, they'll play a ton, and then it dies down a little bit in subsequent years. But the Hot Love was really great. Rick rips that solo every single time. The Arcadia was good. I was actually surprised for it to come out so soon after Goose Miss, because Arcadia, I feel like, has been having bigger show gaps in recent times. But yeah, I didn't know if it was Dripfield or Arcadia. I had to do my Ryan Storm. What instrumentation is on stage?
Did you get it right this time?
I did get it right. Shout out to Habs Jr. Yes. Yeah. And I thought it was a good Arcadia. I don't think it fully got there for me like the Guzmas one did. But Arcadia is Arcadia. I do remember the outro, the ending being pretty solid and pretty big. It's an arena song.
Yeah. Neil?
Yeah, this Arcadia is pretty good. I think I can't say much more that hasn't already been said. Like Brandon said, the thing that stuck out to me was the slow funk kind of riffing that happens throughout this. And yeah, it touches on that Nebula theme, similar to the thing that they did at the Cap. So it felt a little bit like Nebula. Otherwise, just all around really, really good. Oh, and right, the Mario coin. Peter was approximating the Mario coin sound, but with the synth, not with a broken key on a clav. So it wasn't quite there, but it was close.
It's back.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty neat. Oh, right. And then a couple other things actually about this. So friend of the pod, Adam, which I don't want to finish this pod without shouting out Adam for his help with the set list and everything. While Ryan was away, no one trusts me to handle this shit alone. So we needed a responsible adult.
Hey.
So thank you for
either
Adam.
of you to do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Adam. Really appreciate all the help he offered. But yeah, he was pointing out that a little bit of the Swansea Arcadia vibe in there, where it kind of brightens up and gets super major key, which was like really cool. And Jeff is just all over this jam with the timbali. It's incredible. And whenever you can shout out Jeff for being at the front and center of a jam, you got to do it. So that part was pretty neat. So all in all, 19-minute Arcadia. These are exciting things. We get excited because we know what Arcadia is capable of. Can be truly incredible. So let's get another one of those. But this one was neat. I mean, it was good. It's a good jam. Second set Arcadia, like early second set. Love it.
Yeah. All right, rounding out the second set here, Redbird, Lowrider, Cinderman. So this is where they start emptying the tank of the covers that they didn't play at Goosefest. I don't necessarily love that they wanted to do that. I think you give you remove Lowrider from the set list. You give half of its 11 minutes to Redbird and the other half to Arrow. This show is very different. And so this is one of the things we've talked about throughout 2024, where some of the jams get sacrificed so the band can play the songs that they want to play. Playing a bunch of other songs that they didn't. But I know that's just my thought here. I did think Lowrider sounded great. But my favorite part of this segment is the just like haze that happens at the end of Redbird before they go into Lowrider. That's sick. And sick segue into Cinderman. Happy this is in regular rotation after being gone for a year and a half. Because Cinderman fucks. Garrett.
EDM Cinderman.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty good Redbird. Yeah, Redbird. I thought it was pretty standard. I don't remember it being like a jam of the year type Redbird. But see, I love covers. I really love, like, when I first got into Goose, like, yes, like Madhuvan and all the Peach stuff, like, was what grabbed me. But then, like, going through all their covers on Nugs is what, like, cemented it. And then I, like, learned the catalog. So I always love when Goose is able to take a song that they haven't done before and then make it Gooseified. So, like, Lowrider, wasn't expecting a full jam out of that, and I thought it was great. And then the segue into Cinderman, like, the crowd erupted, and it was a very, very good Cinderman. I was not a huge fan of that song before, and now I am all in on Cinderman after this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I loved it before seeing it live again, like with the the EDM version that we've been getting this fall. And yeah, it's so good. Brandon, what did you think of the second half of the second set here?
Yeah, really enjoyed the Redbird. It was one that I think, like, I think it's good. Like, I'll listen to it again. I think it hit better, like, in person. And then when I did my re-listen today, I was like, oh, that's still pretty good. But I wasn't as high on it. It was kind of interesting. Like, my favorite part too, like you said, Ryan, was like at the last few minutes. And if you watch the stream, or Garrett, maybe you noticed this too, it seemed like at the end something happened with Rick's guitar, and then he like switched to Dracul, and I was like wondering, like, would they have kept going with the jam if like something didn't happen to his guitar? Like, it was kind of odd. But I was getting to that point in the jam where I was like, oh my gosh, this could be like an all-timer. And then they like didn't, and then they went into Lowrider, and I was like, well, this is fun, but I would have preferred more jamming on Redbird. And then Cinderman, awesome. My first time seeing it live, I also thought that jam was really, really good, and it's definitely worth a listen. It's really dancey, but like it's very well done. So I was really stoked about that. That was just like an absolute party right there.
There we go.
Yeah, man. EDM, Cinderman. You get 16 minutes of it. Awesome. This Redbird, like you, Ryan, I love the way this ends. It's straight Eugene Bourne for about 30 seconds. And love how it kind of melts out. What?
You don't like that, though.
Let's not do that now. In any case, Lowrider, I don't know. They've covered Spill the Wine before. That is my...
Oh, they should do that.
They should do that and not
with
Lowrider.
Jeff on
but
vocals.
Yeah, if you're gonna do war, do Spill the Wine. It would be amazing. But
With
I don't
Jeff
know.
drinking wine while he sings it.
Yeah, but which, mind you, by the way, did you see Jeff slugging a bottle of champagne as he walked off stage night 2? It's
I did not.
incredible. If you go back and watch the stream and look at the moment they're all walking off stage, the last person to leave the stage is Jeff, and he's just got a bottle of champagne, just chugging it. I assume it's champagne. It could be a 40 of like Miller High Life or something, but it looks like a bottle of champagne. So where was I? Oh, war. We were talking about war. And of like war covers, I don't know, Lowrider, it's all right. I mean, and something about it just didn't hit. Like I feel like they didn't practice it enough or something. But otherwise, yeah, it was a pretty neat ending to the set. Redbird always rules, and I think this Redbird is good. What else am I forgetting about in this set here?
Cinnamon.
I already talked about that. It's just, yeah.
And then I mean,
you know,
we
ever
should talk
since
about
it's
talk about
back,
the
I mean,
encore.
right, the encore.
Reworked Give It Time. And fun fact, I am unfortunately no longer in the 100% club for Give It Time.
No one cares.
I had seen every version before this.
Yeah, original encore was Turn Clouds, so Give It Time was, I think, a much better way to end that show. I just remember I left set 2 being very satisfied. I know like there was not a jam of the year like jam in there, but like as a whole set, I really enjoyed set 2.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Very good set. Brandon, what did you think of the encore?
That was a phenomenal choice. I really like that song. Like the lyrics are great. Like it's something that like I've really connected to. And like when it finished up, I was like standing next to my brother and we just like hugged, and it was awesome. Just like super cool moment. Like we just saw a great Goose show, super awesome encore. Like it was phenomenal. So I have no complaints about how it ended. I saw some people that like were not super happy about it being in the encore slot, and I'm like, whatever. It's an awesome song. I think it's a great way to end a show. And I was expecting that there was going to be like something a little bit like dancier, and I'm really glad that they like didn't go that route. And this will kind of pop up in a little bit of a way at night too as well. But I was really happy that they like made that decision. And yeah, I mean, really great show. I had an awesome time.
Neil, any final thoughts before we head to last night?
I mean, Give It Time is an arena rock song. You're playing in an arena. You got to do it. That's it.
There you go.
That's all I have to say about that.
Kevin Connor in the chat. My non-Goose fanatic brother has been lit. I'm assuming he's listening to Give It Time on repeat since the show, but also living.
You can live on that.
Give It Time. You can live to Give It Time. It's true.
You can live on it. Yeah,
it's true. All right, night 2. Come back. How are you guys feeling going into New Year's? Brandon, let's start with you.
So this show, my brother was not with me. One of my friends came with me instead. It was his first Goose show, and like I just like texted him the day of, and he was like, "Sure, I'll come." So I was really excited, but like I felt like the show on night 1, like it was so awesome that pretty much anything in night 2 would have like made me happy, and boy, did it deliver, especially in the second set. So vibes were definitely high. I was ready to roll, and like nervously anticipating the start. So yeah.
There we go. Garrett, what about you?
Yeah, had another really good day in Austin and exploring the city. We found this awesome bar, Kitty Cohen's, that had Hanukkah themed drinks and all like dreidel blowups in the pool in the middle of the bar and stuff. It was so like great hang there. Like it was just a smaller crew than Goosemas, but just like really great, a good crew to go into New Year's. So then was feeling good getting into the show. There we all a lot of us wound up sitting in the same section in 115 again. And yeah, people there were more people dressed up this night than the night before. They were handing out the roses and stuff again. They had people on stilts and masks walking around the floor a little bit pre-show, trying to do a little bit more pre-show. But yeah, didn't really know what they were going to play outside of the big modern ending. The new album was pretty much debunked night one when they played a lot of the songs that you would assume would be on it. So
Right.
then that pretty much opened up night two for who knows what they're going to do.
And yeah, this is a show. There are a lot of things that I don't love about this show, but there are also a lot of really cool moments. But Neil, what is there? Is that? Do you feel the same way?
I mean, the show left me wanting for some jams, I think, in some situations, but I think you also get some really good jams. I think you get some really neat stuff towards the second half of this show. And I really want to dig into one particular topic, and I can't wait to get there, but we should probably talk about set one first.
Yeah. We got to talk about the first set first. Let's start with you, Brandon. Pancakes, Everything Must Go to open.
Pretty like solid Pancakes. It was really fun when Peter came out and like started the clapping, and then like at that point, like if you've gone to like several Goose shows, like or watched several live streams, even like you know Pancakes is coming when he starts doing that. So that was a lot of fun. And then I was expecting them to play Everything Must Go. Really interesting slot choice for it. And I thought I saw on Blue Sky, like I think it was maybe Adam, pointed out that it had been played in the second slot like only 4 times. So I don't know if I dug the placement as much, especially with like some of the stuff that follows in set one. But good, solid jam. It got like really cool and like kind of spooky for a couple minutes. And it to me, it kind of fell into like the tragic ripcord once again, because like it was really, really awesome there for like several minutes. And I was like, oh, this might be a big one. And then it just like, kind of like that happened with the arrow. So I was still like, that's a great way to start your show. And again, we're starting with jamming. Like we're not getting the 3-pack of openers. And like, I'm not saying that like I like don't want them to ever to do that, but it was just kind of refreshing to get some like jamming early on in the set.
Sure. Yeah. For all our criticisms of the set lists in these two shows, these are not typical set lists on paper.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been talking about, what we need from this band, heading into the end of this year. So awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a disservice to both of these songs here. We know what they can both do. So yeah, that's all I have to say here. Garrett?
Yeah. Pancakes, I felt like 2022 was its like big year. And then 2023, I don't think Pancakes, like the jams got to where they were in 2022. And then 2024, it came back. So there were a lot of really good Pancakes this year. And this was a standard good Pancakes. It wasn't anything that's mind blowing, but I will say like, that's when we like first realized like Rick was on one. I like the guitar sounded absolutely incredible in that arena, and it does sound different on the recording, but like live it just was like loud, and like you just felt the energy from just Rick's guitar playing. It felt bigger than what he's done in some more recent shows. Yeah. And then the Everything Must Go. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to agree with you on a quick point. It says Loomis has Rick sounded so good right now. And credit to him on just working on crafting that sound to fill that space. So
and
sorry, go
honestly,
ahead, Garrett.
Credit to Will, their guitar tech as well.
For
yep. All his work. Yeah. Garrett?
Yeah, no. So like listening back, yeah, the Pancakes doesn't sound as big as like you as it sounded in the arena. And then the Everything Must Go was also like another one of the songs that they've been taking a little bit deeper over the last year and a half, and it was a pretty standard version. I felt like the jam started a little bit different. It didn't it didn't start into that like minor key, like dark, that they started in like Red Rocks last year. Um, but it was still pretty good. It's a song that I did not like when they first released it. I was like, the lyrics are a little cheesy, like this is love.
Yeah.
And now it's a song that I would welcome at every show. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Couple thoughts.
Next
here.
up. Oh,
wait,
yeah.
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I have thoughts. So this Pancakes, although brief, I think has a nice little jam in the middle of it. Really bright piano jam that Peter is the instigator for, and it actually reminds me of The Wheel. Like it's
Ooh.
like just go back and listen to it. Like it's got like The Wheel, like studio recording Wheel vibe. So you go listen to the Jerry Garcia band recording of The Wheel, and then like listen to Peter's piano part in this, and like pretty reminiscent of each other. So that part's neat. So that's a neat little kind of Pancakes tidbit that you get there. And then the Everything Must Go. I think again, this is clock management. They're thinking about the set list that they want to play, and they did one big chunk of tension release and got out, which is a drag because the tension that they were building in this was really great. But one shot of tension release in a jam just kind of makes you feel like you've forgotten something, like you left your keys on the kitchen table or something. I don't know. It's kind of a drag. So, I mean, I understand the point. I love Everything Must Go. I know it's capable of being an amazing jam vehicle. So when something like this happens, you're just kind of like, they're okay. So I get your point, but
yeah,
do love the song.
Speaking of jam vehicles that kind of got wasted here, this next pair of songs, I might have left the venue if I was there.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, I know. I'm exaggerating. But no, but we know how I feel about the Labyrinth. And this like 2 or 3 minutes of drive jam that you get before they decide that they want to play the Labyrinth, and by they I mean Rick, is incredible. It's like heading for like it, similar vibes, I guess, the beginning of the Cap Drive from this or from 2024, just like that, like getting dark, like heavier 2-guitar Goose. And I had initially like dismissed it based on how long it was. And I hadn't listened to the drive because I was like, oh, it's a 6-minute drive. And then they went into Labyrinth. Like, I don't need to hear this. And then I did go and listen to it. And part of me wishes I didn't.
So counterpoint, before we continue, before we throw to the guests, the jam that you're referring to that you wish they did more of was simply the segue into the Labyrinth. They were just building up the Labyrinth theme before they went into
Labyrinth. But instead of going into it, they could have just kept improvising in that direction. But
of course, I agree. But that wasn't the intent in the first place.
Sure.
The intent was not improv. The intent was find your way to Labyrinth because we're going to play that in this set.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Notable gap.
Offering the counterpoint.
51 shows since the last Labyrinth. Not long enough. All right.
5-0.
Let's start with you here, Garrett. Drive Labyrinth.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Ryan, on this one. Like the drive, was really excited because after Pancakes and Everything Must Go, like seeing how Rick was playing, I thought it was gonna go deep.
This is still a 3-pack of openers, by the way.
Yeah. So like they started the jam and like they were crushing it, and I was really excited for it was going. And then I heard Rick start the Labyrinth riff, and I am normally not one to leave my seats during a show and get a drink or bath or anything, but I was right up the top of the concourse by a minute into that song, and took a little lap. It's good, I guess, the Labyrinth, but not something that I was looking to hear on New Year's Eve in set 1.
Fair assessment. Brandon, what did you think of this pairing?
Yeah. The drive, I agree. It was like, I was like, oh, this is going to be something really sick. And then they started playing the Labyrinth, and I felt kind of like mixed on it because I was like, well, they don't really play this very much. And there's probably a lot of people that like are wanting to see it, like maybe for their stats. And like it was cool, but I definitely would have preferred if they just kept jamming on drive. And I just feel like with that being paired with Everything Must Go, and then like the cover that we'll get to, it felt like the energy in the first set was like not as high as I maybe would have expected or wanted in like a New Year's Eve show. So that was I think if their set had been like reworked and there was some replacements going on, like maybe that would have like hit fine. But I also don't think I would want to see that in the second set either. So it's hard to say, but I mean I can say I saw it. I guess that's cool. But
Cross it off the list.
there's not really
Stats.
anything else to say. I've seen Labyrinth. That's all I can do.
There you go. Neil?
I love Labyrinth in the first set. That's where you play it. You play
Or-
Labyrinth in the first set.
Or
It's 9 minutes or 11 minutes.
It's 11 minutes. It's the longest 11 minutes in the Goose catalog.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, it's fun. It
I
can
think
be
Arrow
fun.
feels long.
Yeah, but like if you want to take a stroll and get a beverage, that's a fine time to do it. There are many sections to the Labyrinth. They're all pretty good. If you've seen a Labyrinth live, you don't need to really, sit through all of them. But it's still good. I like it in the set. It's a nice piece of music. I mean, there are plenty of people who go to shows where they know exactly what they're going to hear and they sit there and they enjoy it. We are spoiled brats and therefore can't listen to a composed piece of music for 11 minutes. I mean, come on, it's cool, but I understand your point. But yeah, the place to play it though is mid set one. It's great. Don't close the set with it. Don't start the show with it. Mid set one. That's the place.
I mean, the one time they did start a show with it, they played the San Francisco Wisteria like half an hour later. So
yeah, still not a good set list call though.
No,
This happened to be
the
jamming very well that
is
day.
not good. Anyway,
Yeah.
I only
digress.
have eyes for you. The debut by the Flamingos. Now it was funny. I was reading group chat at this time, and you guys started talking about flamingos, and I thought that they brought the Flamingos out again.
Yeah, Goose is
And
a flamingo band now.
Yeah, I popped in the chat, and I was like, are the Flamingos back? And you basically told me to fuck off.
There wasn't enough people to hold up flamingos this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have made it. But yeah, so we'll just go through the rest of the set here. I only have eyes for you. Slow ready. Peter on guitar in the jam.
Peter on guitar. Yes.
It's happening. Yes.
So good.
Yes. Yes. And then really, really solid tumble. Great. They had a great groove in this one. This is not a bracket jam, but this is a very enjoyable jam. Brandon, what do you think of these last two here, or last three songs here?
Yeah. The tumble, I agree. The groove that they found was exceptional. And like, I feel like that like the funk jam you get with tumble is like always like pretty good. I felt like this funk jam was a little bit better than like it typically is. And then it kind of like turns into like, kind of like, it gets pretty like fiery, like another, like one that's not making my playlist, but it was fun. Like, and I was definitely dancing pretty hard during that funk section. Only Have Eyes for You. I thought they played it well, but it just, I didn't really like the vibe in that, like bringing it in the first set, like cool song. And I like the
slow set.
Yeah, it was like slow set. And I went and listened to like the original today, and I still can't pick out, Peter must have like made a patch or something. And like, it was like,
oh, a sample. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a sample, and I don't know what's being said, but it was cool. Like, I was like, yeah. So that was probably my favorite part of that, was like, that was kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of like the boy button with the 2021 cover. So, cool stuff. Fun tumble. I was, of course, like hoping for the vibey one. I'm starting to fear that it may not come back, which like doesn't make any sense to me, because like the vibe of that is so well suited for Cotter. Like, come on, like let's play this. It hasn't been played with Cotter, so I was hoping for that. And one more thing, just a really quick rant. the chomping at the show was really, really bad.
Well, Chop was there.
Which I kind of expected for a New Year's Eve show, but like I kept moving like closer and closer to the stage, and like it didn't get any better. So
Wow.
that was kind of lame. I feel like the crowd was. I had more fun than the first night, but yeah. So good set. I was just like, that was a solid Goose set. Like nothing crazy, but you know, very very fun set.
Yeah. Yeah. That I'm sorry to hear about the chomping. Do better, Texas. You know.
Yeah.
Do better. Garrett, I only have eyes for you. Slow, ready, tumble.
Yeah, I will say in the stands, the chomping was not as bad, but it could have been that people were a little bit more spread out, so it didn't feel as bad. Um, I only have eyes for you. I think it would have been great if it didn't come after the labyrinth. That was just a rough 1-2 punch. But it was nice. It fit with the theme. It was a nice callback to maybe the flamingos from Goose Miss. And then slow ready, Peter has that new arpeggiator really, really dialed in, and allowing him to get on guitar has really made that song even better. And I had a moment during slow ready. I've heard it a lot, but like I was just like, it's just a very beautiful jam. It even though it's dancey, it really is just some nice music. And then the tumble was I thought it was a really great tumble. I was wowed by the tumble. I have to re-listen to it again, but I thought it was pretty solid. But maybe that could have just also been comparatively to what was played the rest of the set to like finally get a big jam again after the last few songs. But yeah, I wouldn't put it up there with my. I wouldn't say it was my favorite set of the year. But it was good. It was good. Goose is good in 2024. So
What?
it was good.
Yeah, turns out
that's a new opinion.
Goose is a band, yes.
This is a good point on the chomping here. I feel like a large part of the chomping was from people sneaking their way up close to the front as the show went on. They were only there because going to Goose was the cool thing to do rather than being big fans of the band.
So thoughts on these remaining songs? I only have eyes for you was I think the beginning of the Eyes theme, right? There's all eyes covers at this point because Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah. And then the Flamingos is like it calls back to Goose Miss and it's in the Eyes theme. And Rick really leaned into this one. Like he wanted to sing this one well because Rick likes to find those challenging covers that really challenge his voice, and I think this one does that, although something wasn't working with Peter and Rick harmonizing last night. Yikes, last night. So I don't know, it just that one kind of fell flat. I agree with what Garrett was saying. It comes right after the labyrinth. Like you need to do a little bit of a rocker in there.
What do you mean? You need a breather after the labyrinth.
You do not need a breather after the labyrinth.
You've earned the ballad.
Yeah. So, and then just a quick story. Sorry, I know we're running long here and we don't want me to tell stories, but I have to. But based off of what Garrett was saying about Slow Ready just being this awesome piece of music, I remember kind of the moment that I said, all right, I'm gonna follow these guys pretty much everywhere I can. And it was at South Farms in November 2020.
Yep.
November 7th, Laser Slow Ready. But they played Slow Ready, and it was absolutely amazing. It was just so thrilling. Everything about it, sensory experience, like visuals and sounds and everything. It just was great. And it was a pod show. And I don't know how you can achieve such energy in a pod show where there's nobody around you to vibe off of, really. But it was that moment. That was like the moment for me when like I was like, oh, these guys are the shit. So I get it, Garrett. It's the Slow Ready is just an awesome song. And now we have Peter. They said, no more dancing. We're giving you a guitar. And man, it just works out for everybody.
Yeah.
Like Peter doesn't dance anymore, and Peter on guitar is the best Goose. We know this to be true. Sorry, Ryan. What do you?
No. You something you said reminded me of something just now.
Fuck yeah, those guys are the shit.
Yeah, they're the shit. So yeah, Slow Ready rules. I love it in the slot. Again, non-conventional set listing here, and really, really good stuff. But yeah, Peter doing Peter guitar things in Slow Ready, absolutely killer, man. That's just the good stuff. And then Tumble
really leveled it up.
Yeah,
amazing. Well, all right. Before we get to the main event here, quick little set break. Quick little set break talk. Brandon, we'll start with you, and then Garrett, you can talk about set break and just go right into eye to eye. But Brandon, how are you feeling at set break heading in to the countdown?
I was just excited and like really curious to see what they were gonna do. You know, so we were like creeping closer and closer to it. So then I think I maybe moved up a little bit closer during set break, but that's really all I did.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Did we need to like set the stage for this?
Well,
like Garrett, you gonna set the stage yourself, or like
I mean, contextualize here.
There's stories here. Yeah. No. First, like I said earlier, like got into Goose by listening to a lot of their covers. So like the Pizza Park 2019 show, that Eye to Eye was like, okay, Goose does cool things. Like this cover is awesome. But that Eye to Eye was like vocally a little rough. Like was hoping like Rick has gotten a lot better singing over the years that it would come back. And Legend Valley, I think Juz started it in 2021, trying to get Goose to bring back Eye to Eye on social media, and then 2022 Goosemas comes and they have the balls, and I think me and Josh Turn Clouds put Eye to Eye on about 15 of them to try to like rig the system, but turns out we weren't the ones rigging it. And then and then yeah, just over the year, like was it just like every once in a while tweeting out like Eye to Eye. Last year when voice AI, they last year when that became a thing, was able to train Rick's voice, and Eye to Eye was one of the first songs that I made. And Rick at some point this year got a hold of the AI Rick Eye to Eye, and I guess he said he's like, I can't sing that well. But we did hear the band in one of the tour vlogs listening and singing along to Eye to Eye. I was hoping for like, I think I tweeted or skeeted, whatever the term is, before Goosemas, like hoping that one of the mystery balls was Eye to Eye, though Goofy Movie was way after 1975. So yeah, and then just wasn't thinking about it. Earlier in the day, however, I was hanging out with Shawnee Mac and Marie and Deidre, and we were listening to AI Rick and put on the Eye to Eye cover, and was like, it would be so cool if they did this. And then set 2 starts, and Rick gives this little signal to Peter that he's good, and then heard the synth. And when they used to start up Fish in the Sea, I would always hope it was Eye to Eye, because it has that like similar like synthy start. But I knew this one was different, and I was like, no shit, no way, this isn't happening. And then like I started taking out my phone to record, and I was like, no, this video will be on YouTube. Put it away, and then just like everyone that like knew the song was just having like the time of their life. A lot of the older crowd was like, what the hell is this? People that were not didn't really know a Goofy Movie or a lot of the Disney stuff, but yeah, huge, absolutely huge. And then they just jammed it and kept going, and it had 2 very nice distinct sections in there. I thought it was maybe going to go into loose ends at some point. When Peter got onto the clav, it started like to head that direction, but they just kept it going, and that was what I wanted out of that song. After we got like Mirrors last year, where they took that for a ride at Goosemas, like it's always cool when they take a very unique cover that bands don't do and goosify it.
Yeah, this one's going on the playlist. I said this is a lower half of the playlist jam for me. After one
Whoa.
listen. By lower
Hmm.
half, I mean like below 32. You think
Yeah,
this is upper half?
No, it's not on my playlist, but
Oh,
continue. Sorry.
Anyway, Brandon, your thoughts on Eye to Eye?
So when like Peter started playing it, I honestly thought he was like just trolling us because like people have been asking them to play this for like a super long time. Like I feel like weekly I would see things on Twitter and Blue Sky, like somebody mentioned like they need to play this again, and so like I was like, no way. And then like they actually started playing it, and I didn't like scream, but I was like, holy shit! And like nobody around me understood what the significance was, and I was like, oh man. So that was kind of interesting. And this jam is fucking awesome. Oh my goodness! Like the initial just going to the jam, the sounds that Peter was playing were gnarly stuff, and then like Carter just starts like finding a really nice groove with it, and I think like towards the middle it got like a little bit uninteresting, but then like when the clav came in, then it was like, oh. So I think if like that middle section of it would have been a little bit more interesting to me, it would like move up a little bit. Like I'll listen to this like several times because it's like it's pretty damn good. And like out of Eye to Eye, like how like I agree with Garrett. Like my initial thought during the jam was like, this reminds me of Mirrors last year. Like this has no right to have this sick of a jam. And yeah, here we are, and they're just like, it's unbelievable. It's like, and that's like one of my favorite things about Goose is like their ability to do that with anything is phenomenal. So I was really, really stoked about hearing it, and because I think it's a really awesome song, and like I was wanting them to play it, and then to get that jam on it, like awesome stuff.
Shout out to Tahir Shah.
Hey, listen. I was only copying what was already there. Whoever did the setlist entry on elgoose.net in 2019 for Pizza in the Park put Tahir Shah, and I was like, "Whoa, that's weird."
And wrote Eye to Eye, not like the letter I.
Yeah. Hey, I was just going with what had been done before, but I think the only thing I can do is blame Coach or Bruce because one of them is responsible for that, and it wasn't my fault that I used what was already there. I was like, "Well, it has to be vetted." So
yeah,
sorry about that, folks.
Greg texted me this morning and was like, "Hey, by the way, you got the wrong artist."
No, I only did what was done before. He can send a text to Coach. I mean, he's got his number. He can work it out. But in any case, this jam is really, really good. Some of it is like reminds me of another jam. I don't know. Like the first part sounds like a 1 in 1 out jam, which is pretty cool. And I thought that was neat. And then the second part, I'm gonna look at my notes really quick because I haven't gone back to listen. Oh, it's like straight up Ghostbusters. And this is actually my favorite part of the jam in this whole jam, mainly because of what Peter and Trevor are doing, just like slamming on the one. Every single opportunity as heavy as they can, slamming on the one, but like not in a funky way, in an entirely different, weird way that sounds reminiscent of the Ghostbusters theme song. I don't know. It's a cool jam though. And I love the fact that they took this song. I mean, Goose will play songs for the fans. If the fans demand enough and the noise around it is enough, and mainly it catches Peter's ear, the band will eventually play it. Yeah, I feel like we got to start a new campaign now that Eye to Eye has been played.
Yeah,
but this one was for the fans. They played this and they jammed it clearly for the fans. It wasn't like they were like, "Man, we got to go back and play Eye to Eye again." They did it. They did this one because folks like Garrett asked for it. So thank you, Garrett, for doing that because the result is really, really great. And this particular version with the jam and everything. Disney songs makes you think of like pigeons playing ping pong, but this transcends pigeons. This is beyond pigeons territory because of just how much, they put into the jam here.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add, like, go listen to the 2019 version and then go listen to this one. Like, the growth in Rick's voice, you can just see like tremendous growth from them. I think Rick nailed it. The the key change is when things got just a little bit rough, and some of the harmonies, which Neil mentioned before. But overall, it was everything that I wanted in that song. And super happy that they played that. Like, they could have played Honeybee for the whole rest of the set, and I would have been okay. After getting that eye to eye.
Would you have though?
Not at all. But
All right. Well, let's talk about the main event of the night here. The next 4 songs, or the next song and then 3 parts of other songs for the New Year's countdown. But we have Hunger Sight into some of the ending of Big Modern, into a couple of minutes of Flow Down intro jam, and then like half of Don't Leave Me This Way. And before I talk about my impressions of this, Brandon, I want to hear from both of you guys, but Brandon, let's start with you. What were your thoughts on all this?
So when Hunger Sight started, my initial thought was, okay, they're gonna like jam this out, and it's gonna be like at midnight, it's gonna be like a crazy peak,
Like
and
Carnation,
yeah, like something like very akin to that. And then like they start the jam, and I picked up pretty quickly that they were going into like I don't know like the musical term for it, but like it's before they come back to like the like really heavy part and then do the chorus again. Like, I want to say like
the ascending.
Like, yeah, So like I picked up on that, and I was like, oh, they're gonna like finish doing that like heavy part right at midnight, and then they're gonna do the chorus right at midnight. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. And then they did that like heavy part, and they didn't do the chorus, and I was like, what is going on? And then they went into Flow Down, and I was like, what? Like, they're gonna do Flow Down? I was so confused. And then like they go into Don't Leave Me This Way, and it actually like worked. Like, if you would have removed the context of what came before, I would have been like, that's awesome. And like it was really fun to like jump up and down and sing it like as the clock struck midnight. But I feel like that section could have been so much like better than it actually was. I wound up like, I liked it, but I'm still like confused. Like, and
why? Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Why?
I
think it's a fair question.
I don't know if I'll ever understand why it happened. Still loads of fun, but yeah, that was my mind was like going several different places because I was like, what are we doing here? Like,
yeah. If we still haven't found out by most of the way through the bracket, when we have Peter on to talk about the jams, we're going to ambush him with the question. We're just going to open the episode with Peter. What happened to Big Modern?
Or I think like never mind. I was gonna say like maybe the better question is, Peter, what the fuck were you guys thinking?
But, like, you sat around and you were like, we're gonna build it up, and then just
no Big Modern.
Big blue balls with an exclamation mark. Anyway, Garrett, what are your thoughts on Hunger Sight through Don't Leave Me This Way?
Yeah, so by the time Hunger Sight started, I was looking at the clock and was like, oh, it's like already 11:40-ish. So like thinking maybe Hunger Sight was going to take us into the new year. So they started that jam, and then they did the Big Modern, which was really excited to sing the chorus, but didn't get there. So I'll have to do that in my own time at home. But the Big Modern, like the jamming part though, was very, very good. That was again like Guitar God Rick, who was just absolutely like ripping in on the Big Modern. But then the whole band, like I was just watching Cotter, and he like everyone was just playing with an intensity during that. And then they slow it down into the flow down, and I'm like, oh no, 2025 is already ruined. They're starting with flow down. But but it wasn't yes, it was like a flow down jam, but I thought like it was very Cumberland Blues-esque, just the way that they were playing. But I was also looking at the clock again too and being like, well, there's only 6 minutes to midnight. They can't, like, how do you get from this to Auld Lang Syne to flow down? So then when the countdown started, it started with a 20-second countdown. And then when it started, and then they stopped the flow down jam, started like understanding, yeah, they're going into the Don't Leave Me This Way, just that part. But then I was still confused, like how are they going to do Auld Lang Syne here? And then the countdown happened, and then they went into the chorus of Don't Leave Me This Way. And I think it was really cool. People had 2 weeks to listen to the version from Goosemas over and over again. So like when it was played at Goosemas, I think people didn't catch on till midway, like, oh, I know this song. And now like people knew the song, which made it a really fun way to ring into the year. There was a balloon malfunction, which stunk. Like they started falling, like trickling a little bit down, and then but then once it came down, it was just a really fun Don't Leave Me This Way. And they played the best part of the song. Yeah, it was I've been at 2 New Years now, and I think they nailed both going into the year.
You were at Cincy?
Yep.
Yeah, because he was saying the Cincy countdown was smoother. I don't know if they will ever be able to top Mod Auld Lang Syne. If you have not heard that, go listen to 12/31/22. It's Modavon, Auld Lang Syne, Modavon, and basically just like Rick destroying Auld Lang Syne over a Modavon jam. It's amazing.
I'm
pretty
can't
sure
be topped.
Yeah,
no race swore off the bracket because we wouldn't include that as one continuous song, and he was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm not doing this ever again," because that was so sick.
There it is. Yeah, see, right on cue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I also
sorry, Noah.
I remember correctly. There was also a slight balloon malfunction at that one. I'm pretty sure on the video it's not as bad, but I'm pretty sure they drop a few seconds late in Cincy. But I was watching this today, and like it's like Happy New Year, and then the balloons are just sitting there. But looked like there were a lot of balloons.
A Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I want to say really quick before we move on from this segment.
Oh, I'm not ready to move on yet.
Okay, I mean, if you have thoughts, I just wanted to say together it all kind of works. I agree with Garrett, and like, Don't Leave Me This Way rules. If Strange Folk taught us anything in the late '90s, you can absolutely blow the roof off of any venue by just throwing in a random disco era cover late in your set. And that's exactly what happened at Goosemas. That was awesome. I was there for it. I had the time of my life dancing to that.
You did.
Am I going to go back and listen to that? Probably not that much. Here and there, maybe if I want to feel the vibe again. But like in the room, killer. Absolutely killer stuff. So I love the way this works out. I love the way they kind of improv their way in. Like what they're leading up to before the New Year's countdown is not the song. It's Rick just kind of shouting out words from the song. And then he kind of goes into, the chorus of the song. But it all worked out, man. It sounded actually really cool in the end. But the only the face part of Big Modern without enough of the face. Like,
he didn't say face. He wasn't even saying face.
That was like the one thing that I wanted to happen. It was just face.
Yeah, you're like on the couch with having a beer, and you just want to yell face at your TV.
I mean, I just do that at random, actually. Like my dog is terrified. He never knows what's going to happen. Face. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. Well, because you guys were talking about after like late night last night. You were talking about how to footnote this. And I was like, no, like, here's what I would do. And then you were like, no, but they didn't actually finish all of Big Modern. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, they didn't. So I went back this morning and I listened to it. I was like, what? Because it's as you guys said, like you're gearing up for this huge, like, look alive. And the way that, if they weren't going to do Auld Lang Syne, they're coming into the new year with the chorus of a song anyway. So like what we were all thinking, I think what they were going to do with Big Modern was like, you build up on the face and then you do the countdown and then Happy New Year chorus. Yeah, I don't understand the flow down thing. I just
maybe it was a troll. I mean, I think that's probably what it is. Like, I bet you think we're gonna do flow down and then disco. I don't know.
Why not finish Big Modern first?
I haven't seen a set floating around yet. I'm very interested to see if Flowdown was on the set, or they were just like, let's just like do that type of drum beat. Because like, does it count as Flowdown if they didn't play Flowdown?
This is a contentious topic.
Yeah.
We do not have,
which is not an AAT topic. This is like an LGoose.net topic.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to go into that here, but like
separation of church and state here.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what that written set list says. Like, does it say Big Modern, no chorus? Like, but what I was thinking maybe is they looked at it, they realized they were falling like slightly short of where they needed to be. And they needed to kill a minute. I don't remember if like Rick was talking in the talkbacks to like, get them to, not do the Big Modern chorus, but it's interesting. But I agree with you, Garrett. I think the Don't Leave Me This Way worked really well once they got into it, once they hit the new year. Another comment in the chat. The band upping the energy after the clock struck 12 and Rick repeating Set Me Free as balloons were falling. It was pure bliss and goosebumps.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, this was great. And then, it's like Fish playing Down with Disease is the first song of the year. I feel like you can I don't know if they've actually done this before, if they've played T right after the countdown, but this feels like a very obvious call here.
20 minutes
hot
of tea.
20 minutes of tea, what
but it didn't close.
But it didn't close. And this thatch that they play after was excellent. This is what I was talking about earlier on this episode about that like flowy quality to the jams. You said to Neil, I think it was you who said in chat earlier before I had listened to it, just like it doesn't take a while to get going. Like the jam starts and it just immediately takes off. Beautifully smooth modulation and just like this like just breezy peak jam. Interesting choice to leave Thatch unfinished as well. Drone encore break, but I like this jam a lot. I think I'm going to listen to it a good amount. Not a bracket jam, I don't think. Vickers probably has it in his top 10. But
he does.
Yeah, this is
a lot
really
of hype
good
happening already.
Yeah, Garrett, what do you think of Hot Tea Thatch?
Hot Tea is like Animal for me. It starts and I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's like there's a few songs like Jimmy Thing with Dave Matthews Band where then like once you get to like the middle of it, you're like, oh, this is great. It's a party. I thought this Hot Tea was very, very good. And that had some unique Peter Synth jam in there. Maybe I could be wrong on the keyboard, Ryan, but I feel like he was on the Prophet for the Hot Tea jam.
The OB6.
Yeah, the OB6. And yeah, that it was pretty unique for a Hot Tea. And then it was just the party you needed to continue the Don't Leave Me This Way. And then Thatch was great. Only heard it twice this year. They didn't play it on the fall tour until the very last show at Frost, and then so it was nice to get a little Thatch break, and then it hit a little bit harder this year. But before the show, we thought that they only had till 12:45, so it was very interesting given where they were in time. To then leave the stage with like 2 minutes left to 12:45 with the Thatch going. I wish they had more time. That Thatch could have gone even more places.
Yeah. Speaking of, actually, this is now reminding me, we have Dazed and Confused references in the chat. Rick actually made a Dazed and Confused reference before Thatch.
Yes.
He did like a McConaughey.
Yeah, little Wooderson. A little bit of Wooderson.
Is this an all-night episode? Yes.
We've got more topics, folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're not going anywhere. Brandon, what did you think of Hot Tea Thatch?
So Hot Tea is another one where people that have like been able to go to a lot of Goose shows like have seen it several times. This was last night was my 5th show. I hadn't seen it, so I was like rather excited to get it. And I love what Peter does, like just making awesome sounds, and like I mean it's so much fun. Like it was just such a fun way to like keep the energy going. And I don't know if I'll like listen to it a whole lot more, but people were going nuts and just like having a dance party. So I enjoyed it, and I was just like fully embracing like this is just gonna hot tea for a while, and like I'm cool with it right now. Like we're all just partying. I was expecting the Thatch, but at this point in the night, I was like, oh, I guess it's not coming. Like I'd given up on it. So then he starts playing, and I was like, oh, let's go. And when the jam started, my initial thought was like, they're gonna do like the Use Me thing again that they did, I think, in Atlanta, and then I think there was another show where they kind of did that. Was that DC maybe? So I thought that's the direction it was going, but the direction they took it was like a lot more like, I guess the word I would use is like reflective, and it was like pretty like beautiful. And I really admired like taking it in that direction at that point in the show. And because they easily could have just been like, we're just gonna like keep the party going. And I just thought that was like super cool. So I'll definitely listen to that one like several times, because I really enjoyed what they like built like thematically. Wish it would have kept going, because I agree that could have been like a bracket jam for sure if there was like some more to it. But also, yeah, it was kind of odd to not finish it. I thought they would surely finish it, but I like the way that they kind of like closed it out. So I was okay with it not finishing in that instance, because the jam was good and the way they finished the jam was cool. And then like you get that drone going into the encore, like that was really cool. So I was a big fan of that as the final like part of the set.
Yeah, man. I mean, you were expecting the Thatch. You know, you knew the Thatch was going to come. Hot Tea Thatch actually is a pretty gutsy back-to-back. Although, you know, this is what you would expect them to do at the end of a New Year's show. And what I wouldn't have expected is the way this Thatch turned out, right? It's like blissy and not a funk fest. Like I was expecting, I don't know, like the Ryman Thatch, for example. You're on mute, Ryan. Something like the Ryman Thatch, where people are just like throwing down and just absolute funk fest, ripping it up, you know, draw a 4x4 square around you and just, you know, throw down. That's not what it turned out to be. They actually, you know, approached the jam thoughtfully, which I thought was really nice and really cool. Interesting that it ended up that way. And I do like the choice to not finish there and then just drone core it into, you know, what would be Factory Fiction. So the result, I think, was pretty cool in the end.
Just this set, you know, you have two of Goose's strongest endings to songs in their whole catalog, and neither of them get played here. So you know.
Well, but in the moment, though, in the place where it was,
sure.
do you agree that it makes sense?
I mean, no, but it was executed well. No, it was executed well. Like again, as I said, I want to listen to this Thatch again many times when the boards come out, because I think this jam is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Factory Fiction Encore.
They played that.
Yeah, Brandon, let's throw it to you first.
I was so excited when I was like very confident it was getting played in the encore, but even with that, I was like, I lost my mind. And I love this song, and I really do enjoy that it's like not played super frequently. I know that like maybe some people are like not as in on that, but it's such a good song, and like that intro just is so gnarly, and hearing that just like made me so excited. Pretty like standard Factory Fiction, like nothing crazy, but like I got a Factory Fiction and it ripped hard, and I have zero complaints about it. So I walked away from that like I was very happy with getting that. I hope I get to see it again, but you know it's pretty rare. But I got it once, and some people have not seen it a single time, and they've been to way more shows than I have. So really loved getting that.
There you go. Garrett?
Yeah, assumed it was going to be an Empress or a Factory Fiction. By that point, like, if you thought the crowd was thin earlier in the show, like there was just like the people that really love Goose left in the crowd, and it was just the perfect way to end this show. I will say, I think Rick's playing during the solo in the middle of the song part is some of the best playing I've ever heard Rick do. I like he was just out of his fucking mind during that part. Like, and that's where I think it might have been my favorite Factory Fiction I've heard. Just like it's not like the longest jam or anything, but just in terms of like a tight Factory Fiction, it was played perfectly. But that middle part was just extended longer than it normally is, and Rick just went off during it. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I have in my notes. And I've noticed this before, and it always seems to be when Rick is on the whammy pedal, it's just like the body language. He's like just, like leaning in with his shoulders, like really just kind of like Goose Miss 2022, the Denver version, wherever that was, the Colorado version. Broomfield. There you go. I mean, he did a very similar thing in the Pancakes there, where he kind of like steps on the whammy, and just like kind of like leaning in. No, it's not the wah. It's the other.
It's the wah.
It's not.
It's the Pancakes you're thinking of is the wah.
Well, okay. So, in any case, so he's leaning on the pedal. He's kind of doing the thing, and the precision in his playing, it's just nuts. His speed is ridiculous. There are notes between notes where there are not typically notes. Everything's working. Everything in his brain is just kind of coming out through his fingers, or maybe like nothing in his brain. It's all coming from the cosmos, like through him into the guitar. But that's exactly what I had in my notes. Is like, this Factory Fiction is sick because Rick just went full rock star in this. And man, when Rick goes like full rock star, like when he gets like that, the swagger and all of that stuff, it's awesome. He almost never has it. And I've talked about this on the pod before.
Good. Assault rifle Rick.
Yeah, hold on, it's not that kind of podcast. So like, yeah, one of the things I love about Rick's playing is it tends to be egoless at times. But man, I love it when he does have ego in his playing. And this is a great example of it, where he's just like, I'm the shit, and I'm just going to rip it up right now. And that's what he does. So yeah, Garrett, I agree 100%. This Factory Fiction is really cool.
Yes, it is. Yeah, great way to. I mean, obviously it was 2025 at this point, but great way to close out 2024 Goose. What a year for this band. It has been, grateful for everything that's happened over the past year for Goose. They're on fire right now. And again, as I said at the beginning of this episode, very excited that we only have a month before we get more shows, before they're back on the road. Obviously Rick plays next week at Dead Ahead with Sturgill, which will be very, very cool. But until then, Garrett and Brandon, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Glad you guys had such a blast in Austin. We'll let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day evening. But thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thank you for doing an hour 45 with us.
I loved every minute.
Recovering from a New Year's show.
There you go. Exactly. Well, you guys have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Take care, guys.
But don't worry, we're not done.
Yeah, we're not. No.
Yeah.
We
Oh
got
no.
more to talk about.
It is January 1st. Is there a day after show for Dead Ahead? As of right now, there's no stream. One has not been announced. If there is a stream and if we have things to talk about, yeah,
We'll talk about it. We tend to
We will
talk
talk
about
about it.
things. We like
Yeah.
to talk about stuff. It's kind of our
That's a
thing.
surprise, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of talking about stuff, if people didn't see today, as it is January 1st, seeding submissions for the 2024 Jam of the Year bracket it's officially open.
Let's go.
And Neil, we have a term here.
It's bracket season.
It's bracket season. And I'm so excited that it's here. I can't wait to start putting this together. Huge shout out, of course, to our good friend Adam for his work on perfecting the formula. And making it more sophisticated than last year. But yeah, if anyone tuning in right now has any questions about the bracket or seating, please let us know. But I'll just run through really quick. If anyone hadn't seen the post about how it's all going to work, share my screen here. Really quick.
Really? Wow, look at that.
We're going to take this very seriously. So we have right now we've got 4 regions here named after Ted Tapes tracks. Why not? Shout out to our good friends at Nugs, who we're partnering with again this year. Very excited to be able to accept your rankings in the forms of Nugs playlists. Thanks. Basically, how it works is there's a Google form. I will drop the link to this post in the chat here. It's pinned to all of our social media profiles if you're listening to this after the fact, and it will be in the description of this episode on all podcast platforms. But basically, you make a Nugs playlist ranking your favorite jams of the year, anywhere between 32 and 64 jams. If you send us a playlist with only 15 jams on it, it will not be counted. We want to make sure we've got well thought out lists. But we encourage everyone to do it. Whether you're like us and you've been keeping a playlist since April, or you just started, deciding to rank a couple of weeks ago. And if you have a playlist, and you want to share it on social media, share it, tag us, we'll repost, skeet, whatever. But always amazing to see other people's rankings and get involved there. And of course, Nugs has a promo for another 9 days. So take advantage if you don't have Nugs.
So can I offer a couple thoughts before we continue here? So bracket season is an amazing time to reflect on the year. If you are intimidated by the idea of putting together a bracket playlist, you don't necessarily have to. There's a couple approaches here. One, you could just not put together a bracket playlist and then participate when the bracket comes around. Yes. That's an option. Strongly encourage that too. If you feel like you can't do it, fine. Just participate, talk about the music. Or you can take a look at a bunch of the playlists that are already out there. Mine's already out there in the world. Ryan's is already out there. I think Adams is out there. Vickers might publish his at some point. It's going to be awful.
It's not very. I was going to say.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But that's the best part about bracket season, though, is we get varying viewpoints on the jams, and then we build this thing together, and then we all get to vote on it, right? So if you don't do a bracket playlist, you can still vote later.
Yes.
So that's important.
Yes. Yeah. What we are in right now is just the stage to determine how things are going to be seeded. How the matchups are going to go. Seating is open until January 20th. And after that, we will, fill in the bracket. We will dictate where the things will be. And then we will reveal it to all of you. We are very excited about the bracket prediction challenge this year. Prizes to be announced, including the Golden Strange Man for the third year.
Hard at work. Gilding the Strange Man.
Every year. By the way, Neil does not paint it gold in advance. You get a freshly gilded Strange Man if you win.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Uncle Fred's Drive. Uncle Fred's Jive who has won
Yeah.
it the last 2 years. Will he go for the three-peat?
I don't-
Let's find
we'll
out.
find
But voting will start on February 1st. So get that. If you're just a vibes person and don't like formulas, good question, Mom. We still encourage you to vote. Or you can be like our friend Haps and get actively upset every time we talk about the bracket.
Yeah, but we're still friends.
Yes,
We're still
we
friends.
love him.
But so, final thought on the whole thing, though. Like, what if you're just a vibes person? Just listen to the music.
Yeah.
The bracket is not about picking a winner. It's not about what's right and what's wrong. It's about listening to the music and talking with your friends about the music. Maybe some people feel like it's about what's right and what's wrong. But like, at least in my opinion, the jam I wanted to win has never won. So
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But it's about listening to the music. You get a chance to listen to some awesome jams. Our friends at WTED will be playing those jams daily as we do this thing. So it's going to be really fun, man. And it's nothing more than an excuse to listen to music and talk about it. That's it.
Exactly.
Or it could be a reason to yell at your friends and curse at them. I don't know. You choose.
We don't really need a reason for that.
Yeah.
But we're very excited about it. This is obviously, one of our favorite times of the year, and one of the best things to do when Goose is off tour. Obviously, there will be some overlap with tour and the bracket, but it's going to be great. Neil, you also do say that things are wrong sometimes, mostly my playlist.
True.
But
True.
it's bracket season. It's very
bracket
exciting.
season. Participate with us. Have fun.
The term is get involved.
Get involved.
Actually. But everybody who has tuned in tonight, or if you're listening, thank you for enjoying 2 hours of day after show for Austin. Thank you for everybody who tuned into all of our many day after shows throughout all of 2024. We appreciate and love all of you. Whether you're listening to this pod on January 2nd or you're listening to this years from now for some reason, we love you. Thank you. We appreciate you. And we can't wait for 2025. We've got some amazing things planned outside of the bracket coming up over the next few months. So stay tuned.
It's going to be huge. Huge year. Huge year for Goose, according to Peter. But maybe he was talking about AAT. Huge year for AAT. Yeah.
We'll ask him. Anyway, everybody, Happy New Year. Enjoy the whether you're back at work tomorrow or you've got another few Saturdays left over the next few days. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. Happy Hanukkah to anybody who is celebrating the 8th night tonight. And we will see you guys very, very soon. Thanks so much for tuning in.